everyone. I'm Dr. Christina Eady, a social psychologist and communication coach. Today, we're going to be talking about the thing that most people struggle with, and that is nerves before speaking. Now, most people say that they have nerves when it comes to public speaking specifically. But I am very much a believer that public speaking should not be limited to a situation where you are in a room presenting to a large group of people. You see, public speaking is a lot more nuanced than that. So if you are a leader and you are presenting to your team, if you are at work presenting in front of your department, if you are leading a team meeting, if you are making content as a business owner, if you are in a sales call with a prospective client, these are all instances of public speaking. But so is some of these casual situations that many people struggle with, such as being out for dinner with a group of friends and everyone turning to look at you, or being at a networking event, meeting strangers and being asked what you do for a living. These are all instances of public speaking that cause a lot of nerves and anxiety for many people. So if that is you, no worries. Let's dive into why this happens and how you can cope. So the first thing to understand is that nerves are normal. Everybody experiences some form of nerves. Now, we can think of nerves as a spectrum, and some people are on the lower end, and they may experience a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of nerves, their hands might shake a little bit, their stomach gets the butterflies, but they're still able to handle it. They're still able to speak through the nerves, handle the situation, and present confidently. Now, other people may be in the middle, and they may feel like they're impacted by the nerves, where their voice starts to shake, maybe their body shakes a little bit more. They have so much adrenaline that they don't know what to do with it. Some people also experience more stuttering or more filler words as a result of the nerves. And then at the very, very end of the spectrum would be such debilitating nerves that you're not able to even proceed with the situation. So if you're at work and you need to maybe lead a meeting, if you're on the debilitating end of the nerves, then you wouldn't even be able to show up. You might even call in sick that day out of fear of doing that 10-15 minute presentation. So regardless of where you are on the spectrum, the first thing that you need to do is really be honest with yourself and process, where are you on the spectrum? How many nerves do you experience? How much do the nerves impact you? And just be honest, how much is your ability to communicate impacted by the nerves? Because the first step is awareness, and awareness is key. Think of your journey in terms of overcoming your nerves the same way that you would with a GPS if you were going somewhere. In order for the GPS to tell you how to get to the place that you want to go, so in your case, in order to know how to get to a place of speaking confidently without the nerves, you first need to know where you're starting from. The GPS needs your starting point. You need to tell yourself and be honest with yourself of where you're starting from, okay? And there's no judgment. It's okay, wherever you are on your journey, it's just where you are. And you will need to navigate to get to the point that you want to be based on where you are and what will work for you. You see, everybody's unique. Everybody has a different learning style. Everybody has different preferences. Everybody has different beliefs about their own capabilities. And understanding that and being honest with yourself about that is the game changer. Because if you know, for example, that your learning style is visual and you need to see something in order to really process how it works, then you need to tailor the way that you are learning to handle your nerves to include those visual components. Because if you are relying solely on something like podcasts and audio, you're really missing out on this crucial bit of information that will change the game for you. So understanding yourself, understanding where you're starting from is extremely important. Don't skip this step, okay? The next thing that you're going to do on this journey to overcome your nerves is really understand why the nerves are there. So when it comes to something like handling your nerves, you can really go on Google, go on YouTube, read some books, and come up with a bunch of different techniques to try to overcome the nerves in the moment. So you're about to record a video for your business, the nerves hit you, and maybe the technique that you learned about is to write a script and read the script. You can do that, but the nerves will still be there. Why? Because all of these techniques, all of these tricks are band-aid solutions. They are covering up the deeper underlying reasons for why the nerves are coming up. And that's okay, because understanding that is what makes a difference. Just like if you were to cut yourself, you would put a band-aid on, the cut. You would want to stop the bleeding. But you'd want to do something about the cut itself for it to heal. It's the same thing with your nerves. There is a deeper underlying reason why you are experiencing the nerves, and the right tips and techniques will help you deal with the nerves in the moment while you do the inner work to get to the root of the problem. For many people, the fear of nerves stems from a fear of judgment, a fear of being perceived negatively by the people that they're presenting in front of. So this can look like a fear of being imperfect. This can look like a fear of being seen as stupid or not competent. This can look like a fear of making a mistake and people judging you for the mistake, right? There's a lot of external pressure and a lot of external focus around what other people will think of you. This is a lot of self-imposed pressure that many people put on themselves. Because the reality is, you can make a mistake, but that doesn't mean people will judge you for it. For example, while I'm recording this video, any stuttering that I have, any mispronunciation that I have, I keep it in. And I keep it in intentionally so that when people are watching, those small moments, they hear it, I continue, you continue listening. It's very nonchalant, it's very casual. So what happens? You overlook it. You don't pay as much attention to it. Versus if I was to make a mistake, if I was to stutter, and I was to cut it out and splice the videos or get really, really flustered and worked up about it, that would influence how you perceive me. So really understanding what you are scared of and what is causing the nerves to come up will make a big difference for you. Because when you know that your nerves come from a fear of how other people will perceive you, well, then you can work on that. Now, there's a lot of mindset work that needs to go in to work like that, and that's okay, because the first step is really understanding what the trigger is so that you can handle it appropriately. For example, if you're a parent and your child was coming home from school and they were just saying like, I don't want to go to school, I don't want to go back to school, you would want to get to the root of the problem of why aren't they wanting to go to school. Now you could give them the band-aid solution and say, hey, you're going to school regardless, or hey, I'll just pick you up early. But that wouldn't deal with the root problem. See, you would need to have a conversation with your child. You would need to ask them some questions. You would need to inquire about what the deeper reason is. Do the exact same thing to yourself, okay? This is what it could look like. You just have a conversation with yourself, journal it out, meditate on it. Just take some time to think about this. Again, coming from a place of honesty and no judgment. If you're someone who's experiencing nerves, ask yourself, what am I scared of? Okay. The first thing that might come up is, I am scared of being seen as incompetent. Okay. Go a little bit deeper. Why? Why am I scared of being seen as incompetent? Okay. Think about it. Maybe when you were a child, your parents placed a lot of emphasis on good grades and, getting the right job and being seen as prestigious. So now you carry that pressure on yourself. Okay, go a little bit deeper. How do you feel about it? Do you feel like being seen as competent 100% of the time is realistic? Do you feel like that is productive? Do you feel like you have that expectation for others? Probably not. So if you don't have that expectation for others, why are you putting that expectation for yourself? Now, aside from your parents who put that expectation on you, does anyone else have that expectation on you, right? Ask yourself these questions. Go deeper. Go at least 5 layers deeper, and that's where you'll really start to get to the root of the problem. And when you get to the root of the problem, that's when you can start to work on it and eliminate it. If you're someone who gardens and you see weeds growing in the spring and the summer, do you just pick the dandelion off the weed? Or do you get the little tool and actually take the weed out by the root? You have to do the same thing for yourself. When you're experiencing nerves, it is not enough to just pick the top off. You have to get to the root and really understand where the nerves are coming from and why. Because it's in those moments that the real work changes and eliminates the nerves for good. Okay. So in the meantime, while you're working on yourself, while you're working on rewiring some of your belief system and changing the way that you approach these situations, in the meantime, you're also going to work on these band-aid solutions and the techniques to help you deal with the nerves. So depending on what you experience, the first step is really to understand what your symptoms are. So when you're nervous, what is happening to you? Is your voice shaking? Is your body shaking and your hands are shaking? Are you using more filler words? Are you losing your train of thought more often? What is actually happening? Because the solution that you need will need to be the right solution for your symptom. You see, you can go online and you can read a ton of tips and tricks and techniques, but if they're not handling the symptoms that you are experiencing, then they won't work for you. And when it doesn't work, it just gets more frustrating. So get really clear on what your symptoms are, and then find the right specific techniques to deal with that. So as an example, something that I see commonly is people who get nervous tend to talk a lot faster. So the nerves hit and they start to speak really quickly because they just want to get over it and they don't know what to do. So they just speak really, really quickly and get flustered. And then people are like, oh my God, this is too quick and I can't keep up. And then that makes them more nervous. So if that's you and you're one of the people who commonly experiences speaking faster because of your nerves, here's the technique I want you to try. Take a moment to notice how you're breathing, how you're literally breathing when you're talking and when you're nervous. For most people, they end up breathing in their chest and breathing very shallow, right? So they start going and almost hyperventilating. And your physiology is very, very connected to your emotional state. If you are nervous and you feel like you're hyperventilating, that adds to the nervous energy that you're already feeling. So instead, what you are going to do is you are going to train yourself to practice dropping your breathing down to your belly. Deep breaths. Not only does this fill you up with air so that you're able to speak for a longer period of time, but it also forces you to calm down. When you take breaths from your belly, your physiology changes. You are calming your nervous system. And that is perfect for when you are flustered, when you're nervous. What do you want to do to handle the nerves? You want to calm down. So belly breathing will calm your nervous system and it will regulate your speech so that you're speaking slower and more effectively. You see, if I'm talking like this and I'm talking out of my chest and I'm very, very flustered and I don't know what to do and the nerves are getting ahead of me and I force myself to breathe deeply, it becomes so much easier to slow down and to regulate my nervous system. Okay? The next thing that I want you to do to really start overcoming your nerves is to practice. Now, it might seem a little obvious, but it's a little bit shocking how few people actually do this. So the main reason that a lot of people feel nervous is because they feel unprepared. They feel like they are making up an answer on the spot and they want to make sure they say it perfectly. But they haven't practiced their answer. They haven't practiced what they're going to say, and that adds to the anxiety. So if you want to feel prepared, if you want to feel confident, set up your phone and record yourself speaking. And think about the situations that tend to make you the most nervous. Think about the types of questions people ask you that make you really flustered. If going to a networking event is really hard for you because you don't know what to say to people, practice. Set up your phone and record yourself speaking and practice your answer. What do you do for a living? How do you help people? How do you want people to get to know you? Rehearse an answer and say it at least 10 times so that you get comfortable and confident saying it naturally. Okay? So to recap, nerves are very common, but you need to get to the root of why you're nervous in order to actually get rid of the nerves for good. There's tips and techniques that you can do in the meantime, but they will continue to act as a band-aid solution until you are doing the inner work to get rid of the nerves for good. Now, I won't discount the band-aid solutions completely because there's still so much value in them in the moment when the nerves hit. But if you want to eliminate nerves for good, you need to take those band-aids and you need to do the inner work and do them simultaneously. And one of the best ways and one of the most effective ways is to practice over and over and over again so that you get those reps in and you build the confidence. I hope you found this helpful. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or need any support with any of the steps along the way. Best of luck to you all.